What's going on, my Breakthrough Broker friends? Dr. Bruce back with another installment of the 90-Day Sales Breakthrough Broker podcast. And every single week I like to come into your life with content that I believe will move the needle for you. And this week I want to focus on tough times don't last, but tough people do. I know a lot of you right now in the real estate industry, I mean, it's challenging, right? The rates are up, inventory is low, inflation's going on. There's just a lot of different variables that are going on. And I just implore all of you, on the other side of a breakdown is a breakthrough. That's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're going to find success. So this week, let's focus on tough times don't last, tough people do, and how to go out there and find those solutions to get through challenging times. What's going on, my friends? This week I want to focus on a concept, or really a term, that I love me some one-liners, right? So tough times don't last, tough people do. And a lot of people that I'm coaching right now in the housing, banking, insurance, financial space are going through some challenging times, industry-wide. Obviously, we have inflation going on, so that's impacting all the different industries, including my financial advisor friends and my mortgage friends, right? The rates are up. When I look at the real estate side of it, inventory is low. So there's just a lot of things that are going on right now in the markets and the industries that we're all needing to persevere through, right? And so it comes back to that concept, tough times don't last, tough people do. It's during these times that we get the calluses. It's during these times that we get battle tested. And we have to have that resilience to get through it. And I know this is easier said than done, right? So I look back at my business in 2020 when COVID happened and all my live events stopped. And that's really my number one, mainstream of income is being able to travel and go speak in front of groups of people. And so all of a sudden now I'm like, holy crap, what do I do with my business, right? So no matter what the different coaches that I had in my life, it was like when you're in the moment, you're in the moment. And when there's gray skies and when we feel like we're getting rained on, right, and all that kind of stuff, when you're in that moment, like it's okay to feel the emotions that you're feeling. It's okay to maybe throw a pity party for a day or two. But at the end of the day, when you see your work as your vocation, your voice, your calling versus an occupation, something that occupies your time that you receive a paycheck for, you have to persevere. You have to be resilient through that. All right. And I just want to share with you some of the times in my own life and some of the different lessons that I learned through that, right, that I had to persevere through, that I can now sympathize through other people who have been through similar situations. Right. So I think back to when I was 17, 18 years old and I moved down to Tennessee. I moved from Michigan to Tennessee to Maryville College to play baseball. And I leave behind all of my family and my friends and really everything that I know. And I get down there. And I mean, I literally, guys, I cried the first 2 nights. I was so homesick going through that process. But I had to find new support groups, right? I had to find different ways to occupy my time to get through that. So I really just honed in on my craft. And during those 6 to 9 months, I really had the best experience that I had ever had, the most growth that I'd ever had during that time. So that's just an example of something, again, early on in my life that I had to persevere through and build resilience that helped me come out the other end. Some other times in my life when I really think back through these, because we've all been there, we've all had these different defining moments in our lives that we have to persevere through, right? I think about different breakups. We probably have all had a breakup that we've gone through with a significant other. And again, when you're in that moment, it's easier said than done just to kind of say, hey, move on or suck it up, buttercup, right? Like when you're in that moment and you're just so emotional and you're almost depressed, I mean, it is hard. Like it's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to not think about them. It's hard not to just get over that. And so whenever I think about that concept in terms of my own life, what I have learned is never fully give your confidence to another person, right? Like never fully give your self-worth and let another person completely dictate what that is. Right? Just because you go through a breakup or something like that, it doesn't make you any less in those moments. There's no such thing as rejection when you go through something like that. You're still just as good as you were 2 days before they broke up with you, right? So, I think about that again in the industries of the different people that I coach. For my mortgage friends, for instance, when they're going through the 2020, 2021, their best 2 years ever, and they're crushing it, and they're not even necessarily working as hard as being proactive in their prospecting, but yet they're hitting record numbers, and now all of a sudden the market shifts and they're down 70%. They're not any less good than they were 2 years ago. It's just something shifted, something happened. And so don't give away your confidence to other people. I know, again, easier said than done, all right, within that process. And then again, I just think about in my own business, in 2020 when my business shifted and I go from speaking live events and everything's getting canceled and all of a sudden my revenue's dipping and I don't have as many clients and all those kinds of things, and you're like actually losing money in your business, is always focus on the activities and not the outcomes. I was listening to a Tom Brady podcast that he does every single week. And of course, I don't like to date these videos that I do, these podcasts. I'm out here in Scottsdale right now. It's beautiful. It is October and, it's like 7 degrees. It's sweater weather. I'm at a conference speaking, but, I'm listening to Tom Brady's podcast and, there's all kinds of things that Brady's going through right now with his personal life. And of course, professionally now for the first time, I say not for the first time, but, the Buccaneers are struggling. Their offense is struggling. They're not putting up any points. And so right now, he does this podcast, but he's just an eternal optimist. He's just like, listen, I will not quit on anything that I do in my life. And he basically just talks about that. We're gonna try to fix this, right? We're gonna focus on the processes. We're not gonna focus on the results. We're gonna focus on the activities because the activities always dictate the outcomes. And that's the same thing for all of us in our businesses. That's the best way that I can coach all of you. When it comes to tough times, don't last, tough people do. We have to stay motivated. We have to wake up and continue to go out there and focus on the activities. As cliche as that sounds, right? In the sporting world, we call that coach speak. As cliche as that sounds, as vanilla as that is really all that we can focus on. Now, I will say we have to focus on the right activities. But as long as you're waking up and doing the right activities and you're making, the different contacts and the different marketing activities that we should be doing, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when good things are going to happen for us. All right. So some final just tips that I would share with you in terms of building resiliency and going through difficult or challenging times. Number one, just accept it. Accept the different things that are maybe going on, the external things that are going on that are out of your control. But then internally, what are my contributions to these different things that are going on, right? So kind of taking maybe some accountability, but also accepting your emotions, accepting the feelings that you're going through, and then stay focused on the solutions to those outcomes, all right? The second part of this would be getting support. Get support from other people around you and your support groups, right? Prioritize healthy relationships. Prioritize your health and wellness. Again, common sense isn't always common practice. So get support. Get around maybe different support groups that the sun is shining. The skies aren't gray. They're focused on the positives versus the negatives, right? Because we live in this world now where there's always something going on and there's drama all around us, and it's easy to get sucked into that. So we have to move in the opposite direction of the world's negative pull. So getting the right support from the right people in your life, all right? And now, in combination to all of that is we just have to find ways to stay motivated. We have to find ways to keep pushing the proverbial ball down the field. So every single week, I like to come into your life with something that I believe is relevant to you in the moment, tied to your sales, your service, your marketing, and of course, all of this is a mindset.